By the way, the order of all of these things that people think it is actually completely wrong. So you're going to need to make sure you get it in the right order. This is why everybody gets it wrong. BRRRR strategy. In this video, one of the biggest components you're going to see is actually why people make such big mistakes and actually don't enable themselves to get this right and do the last R, which is repeat and go over and over and over again. So here we go. So let's have a quick overview here. Like the first B is for buying. Yeah, so we got to buy the property. Once we buy, then obviously we've got to start a refurbishment. Now the whole idea of being able to take all of the money back out that was invested in the first place is you do enough of a refurbishment that it is adding enough value to go ahead and do that. Once we've refurbished it, then we're going to want to rent it out. Now the idea of renting it out is because when we get to the next stage, which is refinance, then what we're going to do is be able to use that rent to pay off the new mortgage, which will happen from the refinance. Now because we've added loads of value, we will go and get a higher mortgage, which then that money comes to us to pay all the initial money that we borrowed in the first place, and then obviously the income, the rent, will not only pay that mortgage and the expenses and any maintenance along the way, but it will also give you a monthly profit as well. Then obviously you go to the last R, which is repeat. But this is why everybody gets it wrong. Yeah, so if we look at this, people are like, oh, here's the order. I buy, I refurb, I rent, I refinance, and then I repeat. Yeah, step number 5 is repeat. Yeah, but here's the biggest problem. They're only focusing on doing it in this order. Now, that is the physical order that it will actually take place. But just like any entrepreneur or any creative problem solver, they will always start, well, what is the end result I'm looking for here? So it is obviously to be able to repeat it over and over and over again. So how am I going to make sure that happens? I'm going to need to know, well, what am I actually going to refinance it for? So refinancing means I need to know what the GDV is going to be. And I see so many people, they get this wrong in the first place. You got to understand, what is the gross development value, whether it's your HMO or your commercial, flats, or your conversion, what it is you're doing. What is it going to be worth? Why? Because that figure determines what roughly around 75% of the loan to value is going to be, which is going to pay me the money. You see, if over here I purchase it for £100,000, and then I'm going to do another refurb and it costs me £100,000 to do the refurb, basically I'm £200,000 in the deal. So I've got to make sure that this loan to value, which is basically 75% of the GDV, is enough money to cover all of my costs here. So if I got these costs, I got to borrow this much money, and then I always in the beginning I'll allow 14. So times 14%, so I'll allow another 28. So basically I've got to make sure to cover all of my costs that £228,000 that the money is in the deal, and I've got to pay my investors off and all the rest of it because of either the 10% or the bridging loan, whatever it might be, is covered by the GDV. So if I'm like, well, my GDV is going to be 300,000 times 75%, it's 225. So if I can get the GDV to be and qualify that it's 225,000 pounds will come out the deal at the end. You see, I got to make sure that number one, this refi is going to happen at the figure to make sure I can pay all of this money off. Now that is closely linked to this, and that's why people see this as separate stages are going to fail. When they see the rent as separate stages or refi as separate stages, what's going to happen is they're going to try and do them one at a time, but they're all ingredients. You don't eat the freaking ingredients to your meal one at a time, do you? No, they got to go all together to make the whole pie. So coming back to the rent and the demand of the rent will determine what the refinance price is anyway. And what will this be on? It will be due to the amount, whether I'm going to get like 650 a room, or if it's flats, will I get 800 per flat, whatever it might be. So two things. Number one is the price, but also the actual demand. How big is the demand here, and how certain am I that I am going to be able to get it filled, and it's a high demand area. That will then determine my GDV, which is obviously the place where I want to refinance. Now, once I've got this, and I know I'm buying in the right area, it's going to rent, I know what it's going to rent for because of the demand, and I'm certain of what the refinance price is going to be, or the GDV is going to be, then I got to work out, well, how much is it going to cost me to turn whatever property I'm going to buy into this amazing GDV. Once now I have that price, and then I add all my other costs, because within the refurb, we want to also consider all the other costs. Once I've got that, then I now know my money in figure. Only when I know my money in figure, and now I work backwards, because most people, they do the refurb, they're hoping that it's going to rent, they hope they get the GDV. They didn't account for any other costs or anything going wrong. So then, they get to the end of the project and they're not in a good position, which could be absolute disaster and stop you from doing the thing that you wanted to do in the first place, which was repeat. Because here's the thing, one property deal is not going to change your life financially. But what it can do is set as a benchmark of like what is possible. You will learn, especially if you get the right coaching, the right training, the right mentoring, you will learn how to navigate through the problems, the challenges, and the twists and turns. Because anybody who says, hey, just follow my 5 steps and you win, is BS. Like things will go wrong. I never help anyone when everything's going right. Who needs help when everything's going right? People need to know how to handle it when it goes wrong. Not if it goes wrong, when it goes wrong. So you got to reverse engineer the whole process and work out what it's worth in the end, and that's based on the rental demand and the rental prices. That's what will determine the GDV. Then I work out what would it cost me to turn it into that. Then that basically tells me how much can I buy it for. Now I don't get emotionally attached to any property, because I'm like, look, does this work based on my criteria? Like if my criteria is take all of the money out all of the time, then I need to make sure that works. If I'm okay at leaving £20,000 in because I know the rent will give me a great return on investment, then I know that that's my formula. So I can only do it based on £20,000 being left in the deal. Now, a lot of people, because they're only used to the system and school and stuff like this whole money in, money out concept might seem alien. So I hope that I may have shed some light on it. But if you are already in property, you'll understand the BRRRR model. And if you want help, support, guidance, the power team, the people to leverage off them, then join the UFN, the Ultimate Freedom Network, because it isn't just about doing these things. It's about getting freedom. And I know lots of people who make, lots of money and they don't have freedom. I know people who do property deals, and regardless of what they say online, I know the freedom is not there, and definitely is not generating the money and the income that they thought they were going to do in the beginning. So if you want to do it properly, you want to do it the right way, come and learn in the UFN for free. Once you're in there, by the way, you can come and join us on Real Life on Tour. Get on the building sites where we're doing these deals for real, right there in the field, feet on the ground, not theory, not presentation style, not hyped up whatever, the real deal in the real world.